Hi everybody, this is Albert. Welcome to my kitchen. In this video I will be introducing all the pots and pans that I use in my house, and it's quite a collection, so I will try to um, go through it as completely as possible. Ryan Romano asked me to introduce my pots and pans, and so this is it. I have pots and pans all over the floor and on the table, so I will get through it again. I will try to get through it as quickly as possible. So if you hear me disappear, it's because I bent down to grab a pan like that. Um, Introduction-wise, I will start with the saucepans. I actually have no saucepans. Well, that's not true. I have one. But I usually use all saucers. These are made by CIA, Culinary Institute of America, not the people who assassinate people in foreign countries. This is a 1 quart, 2 quart, and 3 quart respectively. They are not cheap. They are ridiculously expensive. I think they're like 200 something a piece, and I have all three sizes. Now, let me start with the difference between a saucepan and a saucer. So I'll put these aside and I'll get the small one. So these are both 1 quart. This is a 1 quart saucer, and this is 1 quart saucepan. Now, this is a saucepan, which is what you guys are most of you guys are used to. It just is a pan you put sauce in. What's the difference between that versus something like a saucer? Well, the saucer has, as you can see from the outside, is completely round. There's no edges on it, and you look inside and it does not have what we call dead corners, as there is in a saucepan. Saucepan is completely flat with a almost near 90-degree shear on the edge, and my wife likes this one because she heats soybean juice in it, and it's got little ears to pour, and it's easy to pour. It's actually a pretty good pan. This is made by Food Network, and it was not too expensive at Kohl's. But why I prefer a saucer over a saucepan is because if you have yourself something like this, a silicone spatula, as you can see, just like a mixing bowl, it will get, you can pretty much, if there was a sauce in here, I could get pretty much every single last drop out of the pan with a silicone spatula because there's no dead corners. Compare and contrast that with a saucepan in which you can't really get to the corners. Now, there's another advantage in the fact that this corner usually gets burnt when you're cooking something because, again, the heat will rise and shear up along the wall. Whereas that doesn't really happen in the saucer. You have a nice curvature, and so heat gradient is smooth along the edge. So I prefer saucers over saucepans, and pretty much this is only used to heat soybean milk for my wife in the morning. I have like I said, 1 quart, 2 quart, and 3 quart, like Goldilocks style, Baby Bear, or Mama Bear, and Papa Bear. This usually your ramen noodles, your one-person soups, anything cooking for one person. This is pretty much very good use. The 2 quart for 2 people is very good use, and this either for large pots of soup or semi-large pots. Actually, it's not very large at all. I will show you my large pots in a little bit. But again, all of them, as you can see, curved sides, so you don't have any burnt corners, and they all come with lids, heavy riveting on the lids, very, very thick metal on top that stays cool, and the lid fits very, very tightly. My only wish is that CIA, and if you're listening out there, whoever manufactures this or designs this, if you guys had put in a pour lip into it, since these are technically saucers and making goopy sauce in them, it was their designation. And so I wish you guys had put just a little bit of a pour lip on this, and it would be the perfect pan. Now, the other feature I want to show you really quick, again, these are all probably nickel riveted. Handle is very, very good. The handle is excellent in the fact that it has a very nice tongue groove. On the small one is okay. On the medium one is even better, but the biggie is on the big one. You can see the handle is really, really long, and so I've cooked with this and had this on the stove for hours before, and the handle usually stays cool. It's got it's almost like a golf grip got a good notch so you can get right in between the bend of the hand and the fingers, and the thumb sits really, really easily on the groove, and so it's easy to manipulate this saucer. The only caveat is it might, if your grill is very, very open like mine, or your range is, it might tilt back a little bit because the handle is so heavy, but you really do want a sturdy and heavy handle, so it's easy to manipulate the pot. And so, like I said, all three of them come with their own lids, and make sure the lids do fit very, very well. And these do, and these are very, very precise. And I know they're very, very expensive, and I don't. If you're on a budget, these are not for you, but these will last me 20, 30 years, no problem. They're actually 7 layers. There's a copper core. I know you can't see it, but there's a copper core and stainless 1080 steel on inside and outside, and it says 1-ply clad copper 1-quart saucer. And this works on, it says, ceramic, electric, gas, halogen, and induction. So these are my saucers, and pretty much anything I make that is goopy or sauce related, I use these, and I never use the saucepans. So that's my first recommendation, is get yourself a nice set of saucers. I recommend the CIA ones highly, and these are it. So moving on to the next set of pots. I'll start with the, sorry, pots are heavy. We'll start with the saute pans. Now, this is really heavy, and actually my wife cannot actually lift it with one hand, and you can't really tell from the video. This is made by De Beyer, France. I don't know what the coating is on this. This seems to be like a cast iron with some sort of ceramic coating on it. But this is actually blued steel, so it's pure steel. So you have to treat it like cast iron, in the fact that you need to put a patina on it. Mine's kind of hard. And you need to oil it after every time you use it. When this came, it was just completely gray, and as you cook more and more with it, just like the cast irons, which I will get to, it gets darker and darker and darker. This great pan, they sell anything from 1 millimeter to 3 millimeter. This is the 3 millimeter blued steel, top of the line. One of the benefits of it is, again, completely metal. So this goes in the oven. I think the manufacturer has it rated at like 575. I'm sure higher heat really won't devastate it in any way, shape, or form. Just gotta remember, you gotta have a nice patina on it. You really do. And if you don't, then everything's gonna stick to it. If you do, however, have a nice patina on it, it's fairly non-stick. It heats very evenly, doesn't heat very fast, but it doesn't take as long as the cast irons. But the blued steel I really like, and the benefit of the blued steel, again, straight in the oven with no problem. So if you're doing like one-pot cooking, if you're doing like home fries, if you're doing like one-pan breakfast, so you can probably, if you've never seen one-pan breakfast, dice up some bell peppers, potatoes, put a little olive oil on it, throw them in the oven for 20 minutes, pull them back out, crack an egg and a little bacon on the side, and there you go, one-pan breakfast. And I've had one-pan breakfast in this pan actually before at a restaurant, and I liked it so much, and I actually went and bought it. So this is plier. It's not super expensive. I want to say I bought this thing for $60 way back when, but I think it's a lot more expensive now. So this is my primary saute pan. Again, the problem though, it's very heavy, but it cooks very well. But you have to keep a patina. You have to keep a patina on it and rinse it right away and oil it when you're storing it religiously. I do have a stainless steel. There's some slips in it. I do have a stainless steel saute pan, and this one is. This one's also a multi-ply one. The handle itself, as you can see, has a hollow core, so it does stay cool, but it's not as efficient as some of the other handles. and I rarely use this anymore simply because I find food that is cooked either on the blued steel or the cast iron to be vastly superior in terms of flavor and searing. Now, one of the benefits of stainless, however, I do pull this out once in a while if I'm cooking something like that is heavily tomato based or lemon based, probably more so lemon based because the acid will not affect the there's no patina on this. This is stainless steel, and so the acid won't really affect the pan. And so if I'm cooking some sort of a pasta where I'm sauteing pasta in it that's got some sort of lemon juice, some sort of vinaigrette, or some sort of a tomato, I'll usually pull this one up. Now, picking a saucepan, it's one easy to maneuver, and I should have, okay, maybe I'll run over to grab a sponge and then demonstrate it for you on video. One of the things that's really important is the fact that the slope angle. You have some that are very 90 degrees, and you have some that are very shallow. The slope angle is going to determine how easy it is to flip your food. And I picked this one, probably number one reason I picked this one, let's see who makes this, I don't remember, Spring. So Spring, which used to be owned by Conrican, and now they separated. But the reason I picked this pan is because of the vastly superior slope angle, which allows me to flip foods. Now, this isn't supposed to be a food flipping demo, it's intro to pods, but I just want you to know that when you're flipping food, contrary to what people think, you're not trying to flip the food. You want to get the slope angle to flip the food for you. And let me run over and grab a sponge and see if I can do that on video for you. And so, sorry, I should have prepared the sponge. So if you have a sponge, the goal, let me see if I can flip this for you. Just like that. It's the slope angle, as you can see how the sponge is sitting. The slope angle is what's going to force the sponge, or in this case the food, I guess, or demoed by the sponge, to flip. If the wall is too 90 degree-ish, it will not flip because the lip will not flip it. If it's too shallow, however, the food usually will slide down. So of all the pans I've ever tested, this one is by far the easiest to flip, and I will show you. So the angle of the lip is going to determine how easy your pan is to flip food more than everything else. So this is my stainless steel pan. Again, I only use it for acidic based foods. Now one of the questions is about the non-stickness of stainless, and sorry, the sponge is still wet, it's soapy. What most people don't understand is that stainless is what we call a stick and release surface. So what happens is, well, the first sin is most people put frozen or super cold food on it. The pan is not hot enough to retain enough heat to heat that food item you just placed on that was ice cold quickly, and so it will stick. Now, if you ever watch any of my videos, I tell you always that the food should be room temperature before you put it in the pan, but nobody listens to me anyways. When the food is cold, it will stick to stainless. Now, two ways to combat this. One is put a lot of oil, and number two is to not have room temperature food basically before you put it in, and I prefer the latter. Number two, when it sticks, when the surface of the food and the pan get to about the same temperature, it will release. And so it's a stick and release. And so how do you know when something is to temp on stainless? The stainless itself will release the food. And so there's people who are just got the stainless steel on there, pushing, and they're cursing at their pans. Well, one, you just suck at cooking, and number two, you don't understand basic physics and chemistry and thermodynamics. So again, stainless steel, not too bad, not my favorite medium to cook on, but very easy to maneuver highly acidic items. Slope angle is going to determine how easy it is to flip the food, and you want something that is light and maneuverable.